So with the main event of UFC 310 officially being off between Bilal Muhammad versus Shavkat Rakhmonov, and the UFC are now scrambling to get a main event for that card, do not worry, I've got you covered. These are 3 fights that I think could main event UFC 310. Let's start off with DDP versus Sean Strickland 2. Now, like you've heard me say, if you watch any of my other videos, I think Khamzat Chimaev should be the one to fight DDP next. After what he done to Robert Whittaker, smashing his face in with that crank, he clearly deserves the shot over Sean Strickland. But the UFC apparently have promised Sean Strickland the fight, and Sean Strickland had said the UFC were looking to put that fight on maybe January, February time. So both guys, I know it's a quick turnaround for them, but their camps will be starting soonish anyway. I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm not in their camp, but I think they'd maybe start to look to get into training camp now for a fight in January. Let's say they are going to do it in January. Let's pay the guys a bit more, move it back, UFC 310. I don't really give a shit to see DDP versus Sean Strickland 2. That's why I've got it as last on this list. I know it's a fight we are going to get next in the middleweight division. For some reason, Sean Strickland feels like he's owed this title shot, even though he lost to DDP and has 0 title defenses. But nonetheless, their first fight was entertaining, let's be honest. And Dana White's give Sean Strickland his word. So the fight is going to happen. Let's get it over and done with. They are 2 big names. Sean Strickland is a massive name for the UFC now, and so is DDP, coming off a massive win over Israel Adesanya at UFC 305, I believe, where he choked him out. I think this is an option. Make it happen. If they were meant to fight in January, let's push them back. Let's get them on the UFC 310 card. Although, the other 2 options I'm about to name, I would rather see these fights over DDP Strickland 2. Next up, we have got Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan 2. Now, similar to the DDP and Sean Strickland matchup, this has been rumoured for January time as well. January, February. Adesanya. Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan were meant to be fighting each other. There was rumours that they were going to be the LA card. I know Islam Makhachev is coming off a hand injury, but if he's going to fight in January, surely there's not that big of a difference from January to December. And, I mean, I don't want to come across like uncultured or anything like that. You can correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I don't know if Arman Tsarukyan is, but I know Islam Makhachev is Muslim, and I'm pretty sure they don't celebrate Christmas. So, Islam Makhachev should be available for that date if he is healthy and isn't injured. And we know we're getting this fight. It's a fight that makes the most sense. Arman Tsarukyan, Islam Makhachev. Islam is one of, I don't know if he is the biggest right now in the UFC. Could be Topuria maybe, but Islam Makhachev is a megastar right now for the UFC. And Arman Tsarukyan is going to be known by the fans. Not only did he punch one on his walkout at UFC 300, he's just coming off a massive win over fan favourite Charles Oliveira at UFC 300. So 2 big names to headline the final card of the year. Islam Makhachev, Arman Tsarukyan. That's a rematch I want to see, because Arman Tsarukyan did give Islam one of his toughest fights in the UFC. Arman Tsarukyan has really improved in my opinion, but Islam Makhachev has also really improved in my opinion. And Islam's always fun to watch in my opinion. He's one of my favourite fighters right now in the UFC. We know we're going to get this fight, again, similar to the DDP Sean Strickland 2 scenario. If they are going to fight in January, or that is the plan, but both guys are fit and willing to fight in December, you might have to pay them a bit more. So be it. This is the final card of the year. You need to save it. You need a big name on the card. Islam is that. That is option number 2. Finally, the option that I would like to see the most. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Leon Edwards. I'll say it again. Shavkat Rakhmonov, Leon Edwards for the interim welterweight title. Now, Bilal has just won the interim title. Yes. Or not interim title. The undisputed title off Leon. Yes, I understand that. But we don't know how severe this injury is. It's a bone infection Bilal Muhammad's currently suffering with. We don't know when he's going to come back. Shavkat Rakhmonov has said he wants to fight another contender on UFC 310. He wants to remain on the card. Shavkat Rakhmonov is a big name, I know you can call Leon Edwards boring, etc. He's also a big name for the UFC. He's a former champion. He doesn't have a fight booked. I mean, I've seen people say like Usman or JDM, but those guys are meant to be fighting each other at UFC 312, and I like that matchup for both guys, and I want that matchup to stay intact. So I don't want to see the UFC chop and change that matchup, in my opinion. Another option is, I know a lot of people aren't going to agree with this, Ian Gary, but for me, Leon Edwards is the option the UFC should definitely go for. Yes, he's coming off the loss to Bilal Muhammad, but before that, the guy was undefeated for 9 years. He had 3 massive wins before the loss to Bilal Muhammad. He had multiple, but 3 real big ones where he knocked out Kamaru Usman, beat Kamaru Usman by decision, and beat Colby Covington. Those 2 guys ran the welterweight division for how many years? Shavkat Rakhmonov, Leon Edwards for the interim welterweight title. I think that's the direction the UFC should go. UFC, I know a lot of people are talking about Pereira. A lot of people are saying, will Pereira step in? His team reached out to Ariel Helwani to say they haven't been contacted yet. Now, that's not to say they won't be contacted, but they also said they've booked a lot of trips that they plan to fulfill. So I don't think Alex Pereira is going to be saving UFC 310, unfortunately. I would like to see Alex Pereira back against Ankalaev. That's a big, big fight as well. Pereira is one of the biggest names in the UFC, but I don't think it's going to happen. So those are my 3 options. DDP Strickland 2. Arman Tsarukyan is on Makhachev 2. And then the fight I'd like to see the most, Leon Edwards, Shavkat Rakhmonov for the welterweight title. Let's get Shavkat exposed before the end of the year. Let me know in the comments below, which fights would you like to see out of those? Or maybe you've got another personal one that you think of that could headline the card. Let me know in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe. Thanks for all the support recently. We're closing in on 400. My goal is I want to hit 500 by the end of the year. I think we'll be able to do it. Thank you for the support, and I'll see you again in the next one.